This is a warning from Brigitte, Gabriel, and I am the other Barak coming to you live and direct from the state of Israel. Let's take a listen, a video that you do not want to miss. Let's talk about it after.
Well, after the Palestinian influx into Lebanon in the 70s, when I was a child, I remember we used to go to Beirut. I lived in a little town in South Lebanon, and we used to go to Beirut, the capital, to spend Christmas and Easter with the rest of the family. And then we stopped traveling, and I would ask my father, how come we're not going to be with the family for Christmas this year? And my father would tell me, well, we decided to stay home. Well, the reason I found out later, obviously, as I grew up, is because once the Palestinians and the Muslims became the majority in the country, they started setting up fly-by-night checkpoints. And they would stop cars traveling, and they would check people's IDs. And in the Middle East, our religious identity is written on our national ID. You are either a Christian, a Muslim, or a Jew. So when they would stop a car and they would see that the whole family in the car is a Christian family, they would get everyone out of the car and shoot them in cold blood. The word traveled fast, and Christians became prisoners to their homes and communities. Actually, Thomas Friedman writes about it in his book From Beirut to Jerusalem about this killing. He called it identity killing at that time. And so we became prisoners to our home and towns, and that's why we stopped traveling. And all that was okay until about 1975, when radical Islamists blew up my home as they were trying to take our town. You know, we are the last Christian 2 towns left in South Lebanon, and they were trying to take over our town. And in 1975, they launched the rocket, aiming it at the military base above my house. They missed the military base, and all 14 rockets exploded in my home, bringing it down, burying me under the rubble wounded. And my life changed that day.
So what happens next then? So you're buried under the rubble. Who comes to your rescue, and where do you go from here?
Well, I was under the rubble for almost 24 hours. They couldn't pull me out. And finally, when they were able to pull me out, I ended up in a hospital for 2.5 months. And as I laid in a hospital bed, hooked up to IVs in both arms, I would ask my father, why did they do this to us? And my father would tell me, because we are Christians, they consider us infidels and they want to kill us. So I learned since I was a 10-year-old little girl that I am wanted dead simply because I was born into the Christian faith and lived in a Christian town. So we ended up leaving the hospital and coming back home. But my home was no longer the home I left.
This is important to note because this is why Jews and people who are supporting Israel's right to defend itself will talk to the non-Jewish communities, such as Christians and even the Muslims who are not on board with the radical Islam change and seep, if you will, into all of these different societies. That's why we say it's not just about Jews. Because the same thing that happened in Lebanon, the same thing that happened in Egypt, the same thing that happened in Iran, the same thing that happened in southern Syria, that's happening in Syria right now. To the Druze community, I know that they're not Christians, but to the Alawite community, to the minority Christians who live in these places, they get slaughtered by these people. ISIS, Shmisis, Pisis, ladies and gentlemen, it's all the fucking same thing. They don't even get along with each other, but it all stems from the same roots, the same thing growing in the fucking ground. It's power, it's control, it's thinking you're the most superior, influenced by God, influenced by religion, and influenced by radicalism and extremism. And then you all have a different way of doing so. You branch out into your own little fucking group. You kill each other, but you're all trying to achieve the same thing. That's what this radicalism is.
I ended up living underground in an 8-by-10 room bomb shelter without electricity, without water, and very little food. And that's where I lived for the next 7 years of my life, from the age of 10 till the age of 17, robbed of my youth.
Yeah, your childhood stolen from you, and in a bunker underneath the ground. So what does it look, how do you get fresh water? What does that look like for you as a child?
Well, we didn't have any fresh water because the Palestinian and Islamists surrounded our town. They cut off the electricity, they cut off the water, they cut off food supplies coming into our town. So I remember living in the bomb shelter. And in the beginning, we thought, my father would say, oh, it's a matter of days before all the big Christian countries in the world will see what's happening to the Christians in Lebanon and they will get involved. And my daddy would say, America's going to come. Australia is going to come. France is going to come. Canada is going to come. And we waited and we waited and we waited, and the world forgot about us. And I remember for 2 weeks, we slept in cardboard boxes because we thought, oh, it's just a matter of days. But days turned into months and months turned into years as the world forgot about us. And so to get food, we would go out around our bomb shelter and dig out dandelions and different grass and different vegetation that grew around our bomb shelter. And that was the only salads we had to eat. To get some water, we would crawl out to a nearby spring. My town was named Marjayun, Valley of Springs. We had 7 springs in my hometown. And so we would crawl under sniper's bullets to the spring near our house. And what used to take a 5-minute walk would take us 2 hours crawling in a ditch because we were surrounded by Islamic snipers shooting at us. And every time we left our bomb shelter to go get water, my mother and I would leave. My father could not leave because my father's eardrums were blown up during the bombing of our home. So he became deaf. So he couldn't hear if a bomb was falling down. So my father would stay in the bomb shelter, and my mother and I had to go get water. So you can imagine how frustrating that was to my father, the head of the household, the supposedly protector and provider, not be able to take care of his wife and his young daughter because of his disability in hearing. So we would go and we would say our last goodbyes every time, Ellen, every single time we left our bomb shelter, because we did not know if we're going to come back alive or dead just to get a drink of water.
What she just said at the end sounds a lot like the reality that Israelis live in, the reality that the state of Israel lives in, the reality that 2 days ago I had yet another rocket fired towards my home, where my phone at 5:30 a.m. alerted me because in Israel, the Home Central Front Command, the IDF, and its security forces have invested in the people of Israel by creating technology and ways of innovation to alert people all over the world, all over the country. It doesn't matter if you're Jewish or not, that there is a threat in your area, that there is a threat on its way to your area. When there's a siren, you get an app that sends you a message and tells you where your nearest bomb shelter is, and you go. These precautions and these systems are put in place typically by people who care about its own people. And what you don't see are the ones who are firing these rockets at Israel, doing the same for its own citizens when Israel has to respond to their rocket fire. Hamas does not alert its citizens. There's no app for the Gazans. Khan Yunis doesn't have a fucking app for them. People in Lebanon do not have Hezbollah alerting them when Israel's responding to a rocket that Hezbollah fired. The people in Yemen do not have the Houthis calling them and letting them know Israel's responding to our fucking rocket that we fired at them. And the IRGC, for sure, does not build fucking shelters for the Iranian people. You just have to look at the facts. I'm sick and tired of having like the storytelling conversation because, the pro-Palestinian movement is so good at telling stories. That's why they're winning. But you have to look at facts. You have to look at the actual reality on the ground. And I would go to Iran if I could. I'd go to Yemen if I could. I say it all the time. I'd go to Gaza if I could, knowing that I'd make it out there alive. Yeah, I'd go there. I would. You know what's funny, people? Between 2005 and 2023, October 7th, there were Palestinians from the Gaza Strip who were coming into Israel on work permits, 20,000 of them every single day. And they didn't get killed when they were in Israel. But if I had gone into the Gaza Strip between 2005 and October 7th, 2023, I would have gotten killed because I'm a Jew. Let that fucking sink in for a second. I'll say it again. Between 2005 and October 7, 2023, there were 20,000 Palestinians from the Gaza Strip getting work permits coming into Israel every single day, and they never got killed by any Israeli or any Jew while they were in Israel. But if that same period of time was allowed for me to go into the Gaza Strip, a Jew, I wouldn't have made it past fucking the entrance without getting killed. Think about that. Think about that. I'm being serious with you. Think about that. It's the same reality that when you look at this religious extremism that's now coming into America and into the West and all over the world, it's the same game. It's the same thing. You think they won't October 7th fucking Manhattan? You guys are out of your mind. You guys are delusional. The reason I say you're out of your mind and delusional is because I saw what happened on October 7th. I was in fucking Israel. My friend got killed at the festival. I saw the videos. I've been to the Nova exhibitions. I've held the things that people were holding at 6:30 a.m. at the Nova Festival. I've seen it. This is what they will do to you, Karen. Every time you drop Free Palestine, you're helping them get closer and closer to you. You're helping them get closer to you. You're fueling them to get closer to you. This is why you shoot yourselves in the foot. And you don't realize it. It's insane shit to me. And it's like, fucking, the receipts are everywhere to show you this. But you can continue to be indoctrinated. That one's on you. Thank you so much for all your support. See you next time. If you want to continue the conversation, you can support my work for free. Discord does not cost a thing. It is the best way to connect with me and others who are seeking the truth. The link is in the description. But if you want to take it one step further, my Patreon gives you access to the Israel you don't see, uncovering the untold stories of what mainstream media does not show you. The link is in the description, and it helps me to continue this work. Or if you're just looking to help this thing go, PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee is a really easy way to support me. This channel, this work does not happen without all of you. Thank you. I love you. I'll see you next time.